5 inches.
Oh,
It
okay.
was perfect. We were on Thanksgiving Day after with my family and in-laws, and it was snowing on the way up there, but
Oh,
just enough to
yeah.
cover
My
the white
girlfriend
mountains.
was
We're
in
alive.
Norfolk,
Okay.
Okay.
I think.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
got 12 inches.
Wow, they got like 5 or 6.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Trustee Cheney,
Here.
Mayor Newhart,
Here.
Trustee Calora,
Here.
Trustee McKnight,
Here.
Stephen Gaba,
Present.
and Trustee Foster is absent.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of November 18th, 2024?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $178,634.93.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this evening, we have a public hearing. And Jen, if you would read the public notice?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please take notice that the Village Board of the Village of Warwick will hold a public hearing on the second day of November 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at Village Hall, 77 Main Street, Warwick, New York, 10990, on a proposed local law number 8 of the year 2024, entitled A Local Law Amending the Village Code of the Village of Warwick by repealing Article 2A, entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers of Chapter 124, entitled Taxation, and reenacting the same in compliance with New York State Real Property Tax Law, Section 466A.
Great. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, I'm not done,
Oh,
but I can
okay.
stop.
No, go ahead, please, the whole thing.
The purpose of this local law is to promote the public health, safety, and welfare by repealing Village Code Article 2A, entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers of Chapter 124, entitled Taxation, and reenacting the same in compliance with New York State Real Property Tax Law, Section 466A. A copy of the proposed local law is on file in the office of the village clerk and is available for inspection by interested persons during village clerk's business hours. And the proposed local law has also been posted on the village's website, villageofwarwick.org. The village board will at the above date, time, and place hear all persons interested in the subject matter hereof. Persons may appear in person or by agent. All written communications addressed to the board must be received by the board at or prior to the public hearing.
Great, thank you. So we will open it up to the public. Please raise your hand. I'll call on you and state your name and speak to the board. Any thoughts or concerns? It's a very positive thing, I think. Okay. Board members, do you have any comments? Council?
It allows 10% reduction in assessed value. It has to be taken either on its own, or there's an income-based tax exemption which firefighters and EMS workers can take. It's an either-or type of thing. By enacting this, you still have to allow for the town to enact, if they don't haven't already, the volunteer firemen and ambulance workers, the county, the school district. If they don't enact it, then the reduction in assessment doesn't apply there. But by enacting it here, you at least allow village residents to have that alternative.
I believe the town has, so.
The school district, I
School,
believe, has also.
Oh, wow, okay, well, you're in good shape then.
So is it all or none? So all the entities have to agree on it?
Yeah, otherwise the taxing, the assessment reduction will apply for the taxing entity that adopted it, but will not apply for taxing entities that did not adopt it.
Right, so hypothetically, if it was just the village, it would be just the village tax levy. Got it.
Okay.
But the town and the school district already have? Good.
Okay. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And under announcements, 2025 Village of Warwick calendar of holidays and meeting dates for the Village Board, Planning Board Zoning Board of Appeals and Architectural and Historic District Review Board are on our website.
Just, I couldn't find, at least in our minutes, the holidays.
Oh,
It's been attached with the addendum. Oh, in the minutes?
in the minutes.
No, I'm sorry.
Or in the agenda.
In the
In the
agenda.
agenda, it was attached.
It's page 11.
So I've got to download the new agenda, I guess. Did we get a new agenda, or it
It's
was
on the
just?
website as new. It was uploaded when we did the
There
addendum
you
number
go.
1.
Well, so we've added a holiday. Juneteenth has been added as a holiday.
Yeah.
That was approved last year in a motion. Or this year, I'm sorry.
Have we had any discussion with the DPW relative to changing their collective bargaining agreement that would allow this to be included?
No, not today.
Again, since the start, I believe in the holiday. I think it's an important holiday to have, but I also think that it should come as an exchange for an existing holiday, not to add another holiday. And I'll just go on record as saying that.
Okay. Very good. So those dates are listed on our website, and we can have further discussion about that. So, where are we? Got a little lost here.
Should be discussions. and
Yeah,
then
we're under
motion.
discussions, yeah.
Are we going to discuss the holiday thing, or is that just,
No, I think we
Later.
can discuss that at a different
Okay.
time. So discussions, petition for zone change for Overlook Drive and 1 Galloway Heights Road. And did you want to speak to the board, gentlemen?
If you'd like us to, yes, just
Sure.
very briefly, we received for the record, my name is Bob Kuhulik. I'm the attorney for the applicant Warwick Commercial Properties LLC. With me tonight is Brian Singer, who is the member of the LLC. We received correspondence from the village attorney and from the village engineer. What we propose at this stage is we're working with our engineer to develop a more thorough site plan of the property so you can see what the vision is, together with some architectural renderings of what's being proposed. And that might help supplement a lot of the information that were raised in those letters. Other than that, I don't know if we have much more to say tonight, unless you have specific questions you'd like us to answer at this time.
You've reviewed the overall request, the petition.
Yeah,
Yeah, could we ask our attorney just go through that
Yeah.
for us,
sure.
summarize
They're
it?
asking to have the property changed, excuse me here, I forget what the zoning designation is.
So one is zoned LO, limited office overlay, the other is zoned residential.
Right, you want GC?
For both of them, yes.
Okay. So the issue with the zoning change is that it opens the property to all the uses which are allowed either as of right or pursuant to special use permit or pursuant to site plan in the GC. And some of those uses are, at least as far as the LO goes, pretty close. Other uses are quite distant distinct, I should say, from what's allowed in the LO or the R. So a SEPA review, if that's what you were going to go through, would have to at least generically consider all those possibilities. But more important than SEPA review, in terms of the zoning change taking place, you have to consider what's in your comp plan. You've got to be consistent with your comp plan. and the possible impacts of uses that, once the zoning's changed, I mean, it could be changed again, of course, but I mean, assuming that it remains as it is once it's changed, Mr. Singer may not always be the owner of the property, there may be other people who come. So we'd suggested the possibility of applying for use variance for this before coming and seeking the zoning change. If that doesn't work out, you might consider a developer's agreement, something along those lines to limit the possible uses going forward. At bottom, you have to decide whether you're interested in moving forward with this zoning change at this time or not. And you may need more information before you make that decision. You may not. If you are interested in moving forward with it, the next step would be to have a draft local law prepared for the zoning change. If you're not, then you should tell the applicant that we're not interested in moving forward at this time and save him the time and money of attempting to go forward. If you do go forward with the local law, I'd suggest that they be required to move forward before the planning board as well simultaneously. I know the planning board doesn't always like that, but I think it's the smoothest way to process it so that they can be lead agency in secret review, because you have to complete secret review before you can enact the local law.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there's also the possibility of granting a zone change with respect to one of the parcels, but not the other.
Yeah, the petition kind of presents it as a package, but I suppose it could be done.
I think these two things should be presented differently. They're two entirely different things. So one, looking at the comments from the village engineer, you've seen the letter, number 7, that there is still unfinished business with the planning board from 2020. So where does that stand?
We can't meet the setback requirements under the residential district zoning for the parcel on Overlook Drive. So even though the improvements are already there, we can't meet the setback requirements. So that's the primary need for the zone change on Overlook Drive. With respect to Galloway Heights Road, there's ample parking. There's a very simple structure that's been used as a professional office. Mr. Singer's vision is to create a structure that would look very similar in architectural style to the other improvements on the property, which is the home to Anytime Fitness and maybe another 4 or 5 commercial spaces on that property.
So what? So okay, yeah, thank you, Bob. So keeping these things separate, how did we get to this point, Mr. Singer, where 4 Overlook was constructed to be part of a complex, but it's residential? I don't understand.
It's set up as can be apartments in there right now. Had 2 tenants come in and they gave a C of O for a commercial, I guess, space, which was a surveyor and a construction company that's there. So if it's a use variance, then I'll go for a use variance.
No, I mean, I'm sorry. It's just,
Historically, the property has always been commercial, and it goes all the way back to a time when it was the state police barracks
headquarters.
in that building.
Right. but it's zoned residential, right? And you knocked down whatever was there.
No, I didn't.
No?
That's an existing structure, so we've been there. I did not change the footprint from it. That footprint's always been there. So I renovated it, but I did not take the footprint out of it. So what changed on this was the parking that on 2 Overlook didn't have enough parking there. We approved parking, but did not have enough parking. So I started the zoning process to change this in 2020, I believe. Try to tie it in with another building across the street, the motel. I was in the process for 2.5 years in contract with that, but could never work it out. So bought another building which was for 1 Galloway Heights.
But
I know that,
with
but
all due respect, I understand Galloway Heights, but going back to this, you bought a building that was zoned residential, right? And you knew it was zoned residential at the time, right?
but it had commercial tenants in it.
I understand. But
Yeah.
you bought it knowing the zoning. You renovated it anyway and didn't use it as residential.
which it's set up as residential, it can go to residential. I have no problem moving those tenants out of there and putting it as residential. I will make more money as residential in there right now. That's not an issue for me. It's to try and create parking for 2 Overlook. When we approved it, had an overflow of customers for 2 Overlook.
Yeah, it just, to me, it's apparent that you avoided the zoning code. That's there for a reason. Right, and now, I understand now you're asking to fix it, but you went and put something there that's not supposed to be there, and now you're kind of forcing our hand to consider it as something else.
I'm not asking to force the hand of the building, the parking, which I can definitely remove that parking, but then they will park along Overlook Drive. That was the concern that I had when I built it. Became an overflow, people started parking Overlook Drive, so that parking lot I put in. It's set up for residential, it's apartments in there, can be apartments, there's 2 people who use it, 1 construction, there's no employees, there's 2 people in there. I would have no issue making that residential. The
But-
parking is the,
Yeah, I'm looking at the parking. So the parking that exists now is imperative for the
second floor. of
second
Overlook.
floor of your office building, the 2-store frame brick building. So without that parking, those businesses couldn't operate.
They can, I'd have to be parking on the street.
And the planning board approved that?
They did not approve the parking, they approved the second-story building,
They approved a 2-story building.
2-story building.
The
yes.
entrance was supposed to be, in the original plans, at the lower level to access the entire building with a staircase in the middle.
I believe I had a rear, steps going up the rear of that building.
You may have, but I don't believe there were any entrances on the upper floor.
I had a stair that went up along from 4 Overlook along that side, there was a driveway there, that there was a sidewalk that went up there to that back of that building. Never intended for interior stairs, because they'd have to put elevators.
In, the building on, sorry, I'm getting these names confused, on
Galloway
Galloway
Heights.
Heights. No, this is,
Or 4. Or 2.
2.
2
yeah,
Overlook.
2 Overlook.
2 or 4, yeah.
Sorry. How many businesses do you have in that building?
6.
6. So the parking area is for them and for the 2-story building on the other lot?
It's primarily for the 2 Overlook, that parking lot. Neither of the 2 people who use that, they use there's 2 spots on the side of 4 Overlook that they use.
Mayor, are you asking how many businesses in the larger building?
No, in
In the 4 Overlook on the?
Oh, 4
4 Overlook, yeah.
There's 2 businesses.
2 businesses, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I meant, I'm sorry.
But you mentioned if it was residential, you'd make more money doing that, but it's single-family residential, correct?
Yes, I would apply to make it a 2-family. It was, when I
it's just,
bought it, it was a 3-family.
Legally, it's a single-family residential,
Yes.
right? So you bought it knowing that, you put businesses in it, and you're saying there's more than
There were
2 residences.
businesses already in the building, they were grandfathered, they were pre-existing non-conforming uses, going all the way back to state police headquarters.
So
So-
construction company on the lower floor at the time.
So, Bob,
Real estate.
so where is that, just help me understand, where is that written? Is that with the property records with the county, or you said it was non-conforming?
Well, I haven't researched that issue in the code, but that building has always been used for commercial purposes for decades. I've never researched how far back it goes. I haven't researched when the village code either implemented or changed the zoning on that lot, and I don't know what the village code says with respect to pre-existing non-conforming uses, other than to tell you that's the status that it's enjoyed up until now.
So, Barry, do you know how to find that information of how it's been?
Put me on the spot, huh?
So, I mean, can you,
Yeah, no,
do you know where we can look, or?
We'd have to research our records and files.
The assessor's card should indicate what the use was on the property for a particular
Thank you,
time.
Steve. Okay.
I don't like to speculate. Just take this with a grain of salt for what it's worth. But New York State, when it develops land for state purposes, is not bound by local zoning, and it may even predate your zoning code. I kind of doubt that, but it's possible. So if it was a state trooper barracks that was owned by New York State, it would have been exempt from your zoning. When it ceased to be a state trooper barracks, whoever came in should have made it comply with whatever the zoning was at the time, even if the building wasn't terribly apt for that use. Presumably that would have been taken into consideration, the purchase price back then. And if it was used for a commercial purpose, it might have become a legal non-conforming use if it was recognized by the village as such, back once it stopped being a state trooper barracks for that particular use. But again, if you look at your assessor's records, the assessor's card, it should indicate, it may not go back that far, but at some point what the use was. Normally, an assessor's records will indicate if something's a non-conforming use or not. I don't think the county's gonna have anything, it would be the town and the village. I think you share an assessor, so.
So in essence, Bob, the request is to clean this up, basically.
With respect to Overlook, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you were to go for a zoning variance instead of a zoning class change, what would it be that you would request from the ZBA?
Well, we could seek a variance and/or an interpretation that either we can use it for commercial purposes, or an interpretation that it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. That would be the first form of relief. Then the second would be the setback requirements for the parking lot.
Oh, it's the lot that that doesn't meet the setback, it's not the building.
Correct.
In that building, I will go with it however, I'm not trying to fight, whatever you guys feel the best use of that building. If it can be residential, then it's residential. If it's offices for surveyor and construction company, similar to what it's been for decades, I'll stick with that. I'm not trying to, the parking is more of the concern there for 2 Overlook. I would, put pervious coverage in the front, so, in terms of impervious, and I will make it that pervious covering in the front, that there's, water goes through, that there's not an issue with stormwater management and that kind of stuff, something that, can work there without, more of the concern is the parking for 2 Overlook.
And in 4, you said there was a surveyor and construction.
Barrett Construction.
And,
It's just a single guy.
Okay.
Just has his
and a
office there.
realtor?
The realtor's part of Barrett Construction, but nobody's there. It's part of, they're together, but there's not a,
So it's not a separate lease?
no, it's not a separate
Oh,
lease. They're
there's,
together.
Is the magazine still there too?
No, that's in,
Oh, it's in 4.
that's in 4, or
Oh. It's
2,
in 4.
2.
That's in 2
Two.
Overlook, yes.
Okay.
American Toman,
Yeah.
they do. And then Jade, which is local, spa,
Okay.
a therapist. That's
Oh,
a
got
top
it.
floor. So the person who's tied in with Barrett is, I don't believe exists there anymore, it hasn't been, that ended in terms of, nobody's ever there. I believe he's using it in storage right now.
The second story of 2, and just as a point of reference,
Yes.
is that the address for that 2 or 4?
2,
Even though
yep,
the door is leading to 4?
that's 2. So I was proposing a lot line change to clean up, because that property 4 has a very weird lot line there. I was proposing to cut it off by the sidewalk, straighten it out, similar to what I was trying to do with 1 Galloway Heights, is to clear up the lot lines. Because that cuts through.
You mentioned, Mr. Kulik, that you were going to provide additional information relative to the use, layout, possibly site plan,
Yes,
and
we can
also renderings. What's your timeline on that?
I was trying for this meeting, but it's gonna be by the next meeting. I'll have renderings and full site plan of the whole site. What I was proposing on 1 Galloway Heights was the size of the structure, but to reduce it so it's less, I think it's 49% lot coverage now, and I'm shooting for 45% lot coverage of that lot from what's the impervious for. But I should have I will, by the next meeting, have all the renderings done, Chris Collins, and then the full site plan with what I'm proposing.
So then the building you're anticipating for 1 Galloway Heights, that would no longer have any residential rental units in it?
No, I'd actually prefer to do residential.
Okay.
Apartments?
Yes.
Apartments above commercial, or?
I'm gonna work with the planning board on that. If it's, I will go either way. If it's commercial, I have several tenants who are interested in that commercial. I can do residential there. It'd be the same size structure building, similar to what I would do for 2 Overlook, but it would be an interior stair.
But I believe the GC zone doesn't allow residential.
They do on the 2nd floor.
Right.
2nd and 3rd floor.
On GC? Or central business?
So what I'm proposing to do with that building is have it be parallel with the Wilton V Anytime Fitness, to move it back. And because it has that parking lot there, and so it looks like that's part of that parking lot behind it. I use that parking lot. The only thing that I would add would be in the front of the building would be a handicap spot and 4 EV charging stations to continue that parking spot down. That would be the only area that I would add to it. But the parking for that building would be behind it. That parking lot does not get used.
But that parking lot was used in the calculation of the required parking for 2 Overlook.
Yes, that's why if I add that parking behind it on 2 Overlook, that is the same size parking lot as,
On 4. So basically, in order to develop 1 Galloway Heights, you're looking to trade off
parking.
parking between 4 Overlook and the 2 Overlook that enters off of Galloway Heights.
When we did this calculation, well, 2013 when we started, we were saying that 1 Galloway Heights, that it's part of, it's an L-shaped property there, it surrounds 1 Galloway Heights, I
Right.
did not own it at the time. That parking lot was gonna be for employee parking. Send out emails all the time, that was gonna be 2 Overlook and Galloway Heights and Anytime Fitness for employee parking, nobody uses it. People who, the cars that are parked there are all from Galloway Heights. People who live on Galloway Heights ask me if they can use that spot. So I have 7 homes in Galloway Heights that use that parking lot. That's who parks there.
So based on what you were saying, Barry, with this kind of trade-off of parking, then the petition is for both, correct?
Yeah, it would be for both to, that's why the overall site plan would show, I put Galloway Heights into it, 1 Galloway Heights into the overall site plan instead of what the previous site plan was before. And that's why I'm proposing a full site plan of the whole thing to show that this parking lot wasn't used here, the one behind Galloway, 2 Overlook is being used, 1 Galloway Heights wasn't. So it would be kind of the same calculation. I'm adding 18 spots, which would be the calculation needed for 1 Galloway Heights. That's what I do not have on there now, is that space behind 2 Overlook.
So is your proposal to make this whole thing just one lot?
No. Separate lots. It's gonna clean up the lot lines. It's gonna be, there will be 5 separate lots there. Right now, there is 5 separate lots there.
So,
What you have in the, when you bring up diagrams and stuff, and
That's what I'm looking at, yeah.
it's not, it was never changed, never updated. So originally when I purchased it, it was the New Jersey Transit garage, real estate office in front, and another structure, and there was 3 structures on 1 lot, and I subdivided at that point.
so, are you in the, do you have the drawing of the lot line changes?
Yes,
You do?
that will all be on
That will
the
all be part
site
of,
plan.
okay.
There'll be no other entranceway off of 17A into it, where I'm proposing for 1 Galloway Heights. It would be the parking lot behind, and I will, and based on, if approved, the add 4 EV charging and a handicap along 17A. There would be no other area that comes in off of Galloway Heights. Nothing changes on the same sidewalk stays there. It would just take that building and turn it to the side so it faces 17A.
I see. And so you would basically extend the parking lot from the fitness center from,
Yes.
yeah. to the corner?
No, not to the corner. I would not need, there's 140 feet there.
Okay.
I would need approximately 9 feet per space. Might add 1 and then 4, so roughly 6 parking spaces, because one sits right in between on the property line right now. So that wasn't in the old calculation, so it would be a total of 6 spots. But it would not go down near, would be covered from the front, in terms of that Galloway Heights side would be plantings in there to cover that front area in the parking, that large tree stays, nothing comes off of Galloway Heights, it's just the parking lot in the back. Will be used for that structure.
And then basically the parking lots would then be in some ways combined, right? You would be able to fluidly go from,
Yeah, they have cross easements now between each of the parking lots.
okay,
So each of those lots have cross easements between them, and I keep that. Right now, what I'm trying to do is to clean up the lines of where those lots would be in that building on Galloway Heights. We have that parking lot behind it.
Mhm.
Around the gym, we have that parking lot in the center, same with Galloway, 62 Galloway, which is Galloway Grill, and then the first level of
4,
2 overlay.
oh, 2, right, sorry, 2, 4. Okay,
Mr. Grulik, how is 1 Galloway Heights zone now? You mentioned it's a limited,
It's all residential right now.
No, limited office overlay.
Oh, it's an overlay.
so it's
Okay.
converted it's residential converted to a limited office overlay?
Yes.
And Steve, what is that, what are the permitted uses for?
That's in my report letter, but there are a number of commercial uses that are similar to what's in the GC. They just don't go as far as, those uses.
And similar to what I did with the development of the other property, I did developer's agreement on a bunch of the general commercial. I eliminated pretty much 80% of what could be in those buildings. Funeral parlors, car washes, gas stations.
And that's limited office
So-
overlay.
I have a very limited scope
Unless
of what
we
I'm
haven't
looking to do
updated
with
the
it, if
map.
it's gonna be commercial on that first floor. If I can do residential, I'll do residential.
so we're looking at current, what we think is a current map, and that parcel is just zoned residential, there's no overlay.
Yeah, do you have a source document as to where it shows that as limited office overlay?
Yeah, that would be on the 2014, your zoning map, it has it as limited office overlay, and if you look at the coloring on your zoning map, it has it as limited office,
No, I've got the 2017 map,
okay.
but yeah,
It just shows
we'll go back and look.
What's it being used as currently?
Residential and a vacant, so there was a real estate office in there when I bought it, and then residential,
So how many units are in there now?
there's 2.
Yeah, it would be good for us to research what it is, because it's another example of how it's not being used as it appears to be zoned for.
So, again, that property, purchased it, it was, Linda Blake was the attorney, 1980, she was the attorney there, and then went to Regal Homes, who were there for 18 years as a real estate office. And part of that real estate office, she had an attorney with her in that. So, move them out, and then it's residential right now, with the space available for what would have been a lawyer's office that was there.
It just doesn't make sense to me, because if you move them out, and it's residential, it's not two-family residential, it's single-family residential. But if it's limited office overlay, that still doesn't include residential, from what I understand, I could be wrong.
The limited office overlay has residential component to it.
Steve, any thoughts on that?
I think that he's right, that it's on the second floor, though. I think it's
Yes.
over commercial use.
So they're on the second floor?
Yeah, there's a two-bedroom apartment on the second floor.
Basically, there's two different
There's
residences.
the lower level, which was split into 3 spaces.
Right.
When I bought it, so it was one residential, another residence above, and then a real estate office. In that real
But I mean currently though,
Currently, there's 2 residential sitting there, real estate office is out.
so one on
It's just-
the bottom and one up top?
Yep,
So it just,
nothing's changed with. what
yeah,
we've
but
done with
it kind of
this.
brings us back to, if it is limited office overlay, it's only real estate on the second floor, it's violating that on the first floor. If it's residential and you have 2 families in there, that's fine. Either way, it seems to be a pattern with 4 Overlook, now 1 Galloway Heights, that it's not being used what it's zoned for. And you're asking us to just sweep all of that aside and
I
change the
did
zoning.
not, I've done nothing to the building. I purchased it as it's been, which has been, commercial with a residential apartment next to it and an apartment above. That's, I'm proposing to change what's there.
But did you sign their leases?
Did I sign the leases? The leases came with the property. So, I am proposing, that's why I haven't put any money into the place, to now take it and make it legal. So I purchased that property 2 years ago, September.
And those are the same tenants that came with it, the 2
Same
residential?
tenants, one moved out. Yes. So, had a little mishap, got injured, so I had a delay of about a year here. So I tried, had
I mean,
so,
so you inherited 3 tenants, 1 moved out, and you still have 2 left.
yes.
It just seems like a pattern. I mean, you can see it from my perspective, right?
And I understand, but I'm.
Because if we let these one thing slide and then another thing, 2 on the same street there, it's like,
I in no way am trying to, I'm bringing it before the board. If it needs to be a single-family house, then it'll be a single-family house. I'm not trying to, I'm proposing to do something different with the property. If it's limited office overlay, that's how I perceived it to be, but based on the documents that I received.
so for the board, I mean, my thought is we should have at least an understanding of exactly what each of these are currently zoned at, historically what it's been, so we have a starting point. And in the meantime, you said you have some renderings that you expect to
Yes.
show what's going on. So as you get your stuff together, I feel like the board needs to figure out historically how this has been zoned, because we have to reconcile at some point that, you know, if it's zoned a certain way, it should be used as such, if there's no special use permit
Yes. And
granted. I want this to be to the letter. It just seems like it's got a long history of not being that.
Decades.
Decades.
And that's, I mean, but do we keep letting that go? Or do we?
Well, I
And
think
that's why we're here.
I think that's why they're here, is to clean it up. Because the Galloway Heights corner, which is basically zoned residential, we're not clear whether there was an overlay, was being used commercially, and it had 3 apartments. And, you know, whose fault is that?
I have a C of O from when Regal Homes went in there, that, to put their office in there. So now I'm here to I'm not trying to keep it going as it is. I understand the issue, and I'm gonna do what I can to remedy it. I do quality work, I'd like to do a very nice building there that matches what I've done on the other properties. And I don't do vinyl, I don't do what else gets built around here, I make it to historically accurate to this.
I'm not
Village.
questioning the quality of work, so it's a good thing, it's just, you know,
But I'm not trying to sit there and keep that as it is, which could have been done. I could have never came before this board and said, let me leave these buildings as they are. For decades, it's been not covered in the zoning. It's been commercial in a residential area. So I'm not trying to put anything in that doesn't fit. I'm not trying to jam anything in there. I'm not trying for a gas station, which, if the mayor knows, could have made a hell of a lot more money and a lot less aggravation when I had a very large gas station come to me and take over 62 Galloway, and it was permitted. So, I live here, I didn't want a gas station there. And I'm not trying to do this with these other buildings. I'm trying to fit it in, be good with the neighbors, have a nice property, and not one that has any hindrance on anybody around it. So for those buildings, like I said, I'm open to, if I say, here's what I'm proposing, it doesn't, if general commercial, there's an issue on, like, you say, general commercial. The reason why I said general commercial, because you can have apartments on the first floor and then second, third floor, commercial. A residential apartment and second floor, commercial on the first floor, second, third floor, residential. And that's what I could do with, if I propose that. But it doesn't have to be general commercial. I could say, hey, if you want that building on 4 Overlook to be residential, then I'll make it residential. I'm not trying to fight and jam something through there. I have no issue with sitting down and talking, hey, this is what would fit here, this is what would fit here. I'm not trying to keep what's there. It's not. It's been, like Bob said, decades of commercial businesses in a residential zone. So if I put together an overall site plan, would have everything in there so you can see all 5 buildings,
I think that would be great.
and that's
Yeah.
what I've worked towards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look forward to seeing that.
Okay.
Great.
You done?
Any other comments? Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Give me a minute to get to where I'm supposed to be.
Public comment.
Yeah. So we're at public comment on agenda items only. If somebody would like to speak to the board, please raise their hand and address the board. Okay. So with that, give me a minute.
This is my turn, right?
Yeah, hold on 1 second now.
Yeah, catch up.
I have to, it's always
Thought I
awkward to
should.
get to the right place and to get things enlarged. Right. Okay. So trustee Cheney,
Number 1, motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Kathy Schweizer to carry over 3.5 vacation days.
second,
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve payment number 5 in the amount of $67,583.29 to TAM Enterprises, Inc. for the Pole Barn DPW project for work including the completion of the remaining portions of the structure's metal framing, installation of the spray foam insulation, and the installation of 2 overhead doors per the recommendation of village engineer Keith Woodruff. Funds are appropriated in budget code A1640.2350.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve payment number 3 in the amount of $10,092.45 for the release of the 5% retainage to Jory Excavating, Inc. for the South Street Sidewalk ADA Improvements Phase 3 project. Per the recommendation of Village Engineer Keith Woodruff, funds are appropriated in Budget Code A5110.4400. The contracted project work, including demobilization, was completed by the contractor on September 9th, 2024.
Second, just quick discussion.
Sure.
What is it, what is this one? Because is this the last payment to them that was just held in escrow or
Yes,
something?
yeah.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Okay, so we have,
5% retainage. Yep.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's the 5% retainage.
5% retainage. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve payment number 2 in the amount of $21,674.25 to TAM Enterprises, Inc. for the Well 3 water treatment project per the recommendation of project engineer Pittengarrow and Dosch. As of October 30th, 2024, the project is 70% through submittals. Funds are appropriated in Budget Code F8330.2350.
Okay.
Second, I just had a question on that, Barry. Sure. What does that mean, the project is 70% through submittals?
Well, it's the submittal component of the project. In other words, it's itemized. And the submittal, they're being paid on the basis of having 70% of the submittals in.
Got it. Thank you.
So, yeah, the project is not 70% done.
Right.
We got a long way to go.
Right, no, I
Yes, we
figured
do.
something.
Okay, so we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the bid from TAM Enterprises in the amount of $1,060,000 for the general construction contract for the relocation of the Maple Avenue Water Booster Station project and authorize the mayor to sign any necessary documents regarding the same. As per the recommendation of Village Engineer Barton and LaJudas, funds are appropriated in Budget Code F.8320.4400.
Great.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to accept the bid from Fanshawe Inc., DBA Rockland Electric, in the amount of $66,000 for the electrical construction contract for the relocation of the Maple Avenue Water Booster Station project and authorize the mayor to sign any necessary documents regarding the same as per the recommendation of Village Engineer Barton and LaJudas. Funds are appropriated in Budget Code F.8320.4400.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mary, do you want to take Farley's?
Sure. Resolution adopting Village of Warwick Local Law Number 7 of 2024 to revise the village code's provisions regarding a real property tax exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Warwick has before it a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Village Code of the Village of Warwick by repealing Article 2A entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Ambulance Workers of Chapter 124 entitled Taxation and reenacting the same in compliance with New York State Real Property Tax Law 466-A, and whereas following due notice the Village Board held a public hearing on the proposed law, and now therefore be it resolved as follows. The Village Board hereby adopts the said local law, and that the local law shall be effective upon filing in the office of the Secretary of State in Albany as required by the applicable law.
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Calora?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. And motion 8?
I have to recuse myself, so I'm
Oh,
not
yes,
sure if I
okay.
can read it.
Barry?
No,
do
you
want-
shouldn't. Sure.
No, you should.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Valley Chamber of Commerce to have Santa visit the sleigh on Railroad Green on Saturday, December 14th, 2024, between the hours of 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. The Village of Warwick DPW to install the sleigh on Railroad Green. Completed park permit, security deposit, and proof of insurance have been received. The Home for the Holidays event was previously approved on October 7th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm recused.
Okay. And Mary, number 9?
Motion to grant an annual amusement and exhibition license to Fun and Games Arcade, located at 25 Elm Street, Warwick, New York, in accordance with Village Code Chapter 34, including permission to operate on Sundays and the allowance of persons under 18 years of age to play the arcade amusement devices.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Discussion?
Well, I don't want to be a killjoy, but your code has the amusement section written separate from the zoning section. It's very specific about the terms and provisions upon which an amusement license can be granted. And among those terms and provisions is that you cannot operate on Sundays, and I believe that you cannot allow persons under 18 years of age to play in the arcade.
Right.
So much as you might like to waive those provisions, your code doesn't allow you to do that. It allows you to impose additional conditions, but not to waive. So you can grant the permit,
But
you
we have to
can't-
rewrite our,
I'm afraid you do.
yeah, our local law. So,
So what you're gonna wanna do is modify that motion to strike everything after, including permission.
okay. And so, would you work with us on rewriting that local law?
Sure.
Could.
If all you wanna do is
could
take
I-
out those provisions, it's easy enough.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, would it be easier just to repeal it and then
Oh, yeah.
look at it and then create a new law that's more appropriate?
It's up to you. You could do it either way. You could either just take out those provisions and then reconsider it, still have the licensing provision in your code, or, you'd have to repeal the entire chapter 34 if you wanna repeal it. You can't just,
Right. Right.
but you'd have nothing there in the meantime.
Yeah, that could be a problem too.
Well, aren't these uses subject to site plan approval? I mean, this is intended for a broader thing than just arcades. This is, any circus comes to town type of thing.
Right, right.
Well, I mean, it's in a pre-approved building.
Building, yeah. It's
A
a
group of, it's basically a building that has
multiple,
multiple
commercial
tenants.
tenants, yeah. Mitchell's Corner.
So, it's pretty much been pre-approved for retail and commercial.
Yeah, if the use is permitted, I can see where that would be the case.
Okay. Do you want to modify that?
Yeah, I'll move to amend the motion to eliminate the wording including permission to operate on Sundays and the allowance of persons under the age of 18 to play the arcade amusement devices.
Okay. And do I have a second?
Second as amended.
Okay.
Sorry.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So we'll vote on the amendment.
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I know that the folks that are wanting to do this are in the audience, but we're going to work towards amending our local law so that you can have,
Really appreciate it.
yeah.
Gives the youth something to do besides staying on their phone all day long.
We recognize that, and, obviously, in a small village like ours, some of our local laws were written in the 1800s, so. And they still exist. It's historic.
No, you need
But
a
thank
local
you,
law.
we appreciate it,
Really
and
appreciate it.
we'll try to move this quickly so that it can happen.
We still need a local law.
When's the next meeting on it?
Well,
But to do it, to
hopefully,
schedule a
the
public
next
hearing.
meeting would be to set a
Law.
public
Schedule a
hearing,
Public hearing on a local law.
and then,
You can't just say it's to repeal.
right,
Sorry.
that's okay.
That's okay.
So, the next meeting, we would create a public hearing. And then, from there, that would be, there's a time allowance, and then, but it's not long, I mean,
January.
it would be in January.
It's a stone's throw away.
Right. Very positive attitude. I like that. But we'll work towards it, so,
Really appreciate it.
okay, thank you.
See you
And
guys.
welcome to our community.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The family's been in the community many years.
Okay, good, good.
Have you ever heard of the Tevens?
Yes, yes, yep.
That was my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Marilyn's a realtor in Warwick as well. Scott was her last name.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I've
Yes.
seen her son.
Very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys, greatly appreciate it.
Okay. We have an addendum, and Barry, I'm
Shall
gonna
I?
put you on.
Resolution approving a streetlight pole attachment agreement for the Village of Warwick's purchase of streetlight heads. Whereas the Village of Warwick has undertaken to purchase the streetlight heads in the village, and whereas as part of the streetlight head purchase project, the village board has before it a proposed contract with Archtop Fiber LLC for maintaining the streetlight heads on the streetlight poles in the village. And whereas the village board finds the contract acceptable and wishes to enter into it, now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the streetlight head purchase project, including the streetlight head attachment contract, constitutes a type 2 action under seeker. And 2, that the village board hereby approves the said contract, a copy of which is annexed here too. And 3, that the mayor is authorized to execute the said contract and all documents necessary for carrying out the terms and provisions thereof.
Okay.
Second.
I just want to make a quick comment, and that's to say, thank you, Barry, for your diligence.
Yes.
It's the only way I can describe it. I had to play a squeaky wheel, but you were diligent, so thank you very much.
And I thank our attorney for responding quickly and getting this to us so that we could have it on the agenda tonight. What has happened is this is the final, close to final item that we need to be able to close on the streetlight project, purchase of the streetlight project from Orange and Rockland Utilities. So it's a big step. And in addition to that, we're also have in the works a grant through Senator Skoufis to pay for half the cost, almost half the cost, so $100,000 of the $203,000 approximate cost to purchase the streetlights. And I checked with them today, and they said that there's no reason to delay anything. Everything's in place relative to that grant, and we wouldn't be jeopardizing receiving that money if we were to go ahead. I also notified the our project manager, RTE, and they are overjoyed to get this thing moving again, because we've all the lights have been purchased. They're on site, and the contractor is ready to go, and they'll be getting a schedule for the install probably within the next couple weeks.
That's great, really good.
Thank you, Barry, that's
Yeah,
great.
excellent. And the serendipity of the funds to pay for half of it, that was probably the most amazing piece.
If we hadn't waited, we wouldn't have been eligible.
That's it, there was a reason. Someone's on our shoulder.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I
so we
guess.
have a second, it's a roll call vote.
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee McKnight?
Yes.
Trustee Kolar?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes. Okay, and no other motions, final comments from the board.
Yeah, I have one. Speaking of funds, the newsletter will be out shortly. There's a bit of a delay with the holiday, and we made some additions and have been carefully going over it, but there is a beautiful list of all the awards and grants to date.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing list.
It's crazy, and that was part of the delay too. It was like, wait, there's this one, wait, there's this one. Now we have to do the math all over again. But yes, look for that in your mailbox next week.
Do you have all Tom's hard work?
Yep. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mary, for putting this together.
addition.
Yeah.
This is great.
Tom, do you have
That's
anything
my
for us? before we-
Yes, so we did get positive word from NYSERDA that we have $197,000 $186,500 in grants coming our way. So 187.5 will be towards the DPW solar project. So basically on the DPW garage, we can put approximately 100 kilowatt system of solar panels up there, which would offset roughly 17% of our annual total electricity consumption across the village, which would be great.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
we tried to get ahead of that. We have this out to bid. The last day for bidders to respond is December 15th. And then we'll meet, I think, on the 15th, right? Is that the next board meeting?
I don't know if it's the 15th.
No, it's the 19th.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 19th. Anyway, we'll get to the 15th,
I think it's the 24th.
and then we can, maybe,
16th.
16th, okay.
Okay.
Then we can decide on
14 plus 2.
the winning bidder. But, Steve, and I sent you an email on this evening, for 150,000 of the grant, we need to enter into a contract with NYSERDA. So the mayor and I met with him today. Seems pretty straightforward. But that would be a reimbursement. So we spoke with the treasurer about outlaying the funds, that we would get reimbursed at 25% after the planning phase, the remaining 75% at completion. For 37,500, that's getting direct deposited to us, which is good. So again, the supermajority towards the solar project, and then $10,000, which is two of the smaller 5K grants, are going towards the tree planting projects that we have.
Do we have to change the newsletter again?
Well, I just found out after I already sent you final, so.
I mean, I could theoretically squeeze it in.
Really?
Right.
You got space right
Because
there?
it's here, right? Isn't that it?
That is,
Part of it?
that is it.
So we're just gonna do this up
I can send you
here.
what that is.
Yeah, just email me what it is.
This is
and
hot
I
off the
can-
press,
I
man.
know. But you have to check my math.
Okay, all right.
That's a deal.
We'll do.
Some big numbers.
But it's exciting. I mean,
It is very
we're not gonna get all the money until the project is finished, but the goal is to offset hopefully 100% of that project through grant funding, which would be great.
That's great. It's excellent. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
So, we had some good rain,
Yeah.
two rain events, and as of today, the reservoirs seem to be holding their own and not diminishing any further, but we're still low on water. So we need to just ask everybody to continue to find ways to conserve as much as possible. I realize the landscaping isn't being watered anymore, hopefully. Just look at your usage. Fill the dishwasher with dishes. Fill the laundry with a full load of clothes if you're going to, when you go and do that. So, and check for any leaks. That's important. You'll not only help the village, but you'll also help your pocketbook, because if it's leaking, you're paying for it. So,
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder. I have nothing, but except to ask someone to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, boy. Steve, you're a good guy.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank you.
patient.